Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our Recovery Live followers. My name is Tom. I'm a recovered alcoholic. This Came to Believe's weekly live stream where we discuss everything recovery and today, everything health. And really, recovery is health too. I want to welcome my co host, Alicia from Auburn, California. How are you today, Alicia?
I'm good. I'm excited
So,
about this topic, a little afraid, but good because I kind of get a little heated.
so,
I invite you to settle me down if you need to.
all right. Anybody that is following our show or has ever met Alicia knows that she gets just a little excited
A
about
little
this subject,
passionate about
a
this.
little passionate about it. Um, uh, well, Alicia, no headband today, huh?
No, yeah, I have it on like every single day. So I'm like,
Every single day you do.
every day. And I'm getting my hair darkened today, so I had to wash it. So I took it off.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm not wearing a headband today, and
Men wear
I
them, you know. You
I
could
don't want I wouldn't want my blonde to be changed in any
smash.
way. So uh, blonde. Well, guys, we had some great news about the Cupertino retreat. Cupertino, California, was a commuter retreat we had this past weekend. Cupertino's outside of San Jose, so it's the Bay Area. If you need the big picture of California, and we had a very successful retreat. I'm hearing all sorts of great feedback from it, Alicia. I'm hearing that there were some recovery leaders from around California that were at the retreat that were really inspired by it and have reached out to Dale Marsh, our California partner over there, and have requested more information and how to engage with us and how to bring the program to their constituency. So great! It was great feedback
That's
from
awesome.
them.
Yeah, one of my sponsees went. I met her at Nevada City in September, and then she went to this one with two other friends that also are getting involved with us now. And she said it was amazing, and they plan to go to Malibu, so they're just like,
That's awesome.
yeah.
And we know that our partners over in the UK are presenting retreats the same. 2 weeks ago, they had a retreat in a place called Hertz, which means nothing to me, but it's in the UK. And I spoke with one of our leaders from there yesterday, who said it was a knockout also, and that
Mm.
next year that they turned 20 people away this year, or had 20 inquiries and they didn't have spots for them, so they're going to double the spots next year for
And they
Hertz the
have
next time they
room.
do it.
They have
Yeah, the
room for
place has room. They just hadn't booked
that.
that
Okay.
amount of room. They hadn't signed up for that many rooms. So that's really encouraging things that are going on in the UK. And the North Pennines retreat that's going to go on in a couple of weeks is sold out. So that's one I've been to a few times. It didn't go this year, but have been in the past. So really great news. And then the 5th through the 7th, no, 3rd through the 5th of
Leesburg.
November, we're going to be in Leesburg, which is really the flagship retreat for Came to Believe Recovery. And Cass will be joining me down there live at the retreat for the first in-person retreat that she's ever been to.
Mhm.
So it's going to
And
be
then
loads of fun. And then we're going to be in Malibu. And, Alicia, some great buzz going on around Malibu now, around California, because after we've done Nevada City and we've done Cupertino, and then with the buzz up in the Oroville area and the buzz starting in the Southern California area, the indications are lots of people eyes are on it and are going to be coming. We always love that. I'm coming. But then we look at the registrations, right? And there's nobody registered.
right. Well, it's still only. I
Yeah.
mean, some time still.
Yeah, we're well over a month away, so I would expect that we'll get them. So it's great news for people to come and run through the steps the way our founders presented them back in the 30s, in many cases, in a very short period of time, like we do them. Just important to let everybody know it's not a one and done, guys. It's a one and then the rest of your life. Sometimes we hear people say it's too fast, or it can't be done in a weekend, or it needs more time. Well, if they listen carefully to the way the steps are taught, and if we do it with intention, what we hope people leave with is that it's a process we're teaching you to perfect now over the rest of your life. And so working that 10, 11, and 12 in the rest of your life and perfecting the process is totally legitimate and can totally start with a weekend's instruction, you know?
Right. And we're not saying you're done. We say all through the retreat, you still need to do 8 and 9, right, when you leave, and you still need to do 10, 11, 12 forever. And there might be areas we never shy away from saying you might need to still grow in this area. You might need, for me, I still needed to go to counseling for some
Right.
stuff. But we do give them the tools, we get through the process. So now they can just continue to grow and learn forever. But they don't have to do that process in 2 years and just be like this for 2 years. They can get through it and then grow.
And grow and read all the books that
Or
we
whatever
read
they
and
want
want
to
to do and do other things.
Yeah.
And get their lives back. I mean, the whole point of this is to get your life back, is to go reinvent yourself, to go learn a bunch of things and become involved in everything and be the best you that you can be. And that's the encouragement. So just that's a little on my heart and spirit today because of hearing this. Always after retreats, you get a little bit of that. Now, you got to watch how much effort you bring to the 2 people who said that. Of the 50 that went to retreat, 2 said it went too fast. And so, but
it could be their own processing.
right. But it also could mean that there's more that aren't saying it. Right. So it's worth making a comment on it, and it's worth us clarifying and being even better at it, Alicea, all of us, and better at at articulating with our speakers and in our social media and all of our outreach that what our position really is and what it is that you really get out of this, so people understand that what we're offering you in this weekend is legitimate and it's very helpful, and it could be the end for you if this is the thing for you. But it does require consistent and some effort that will on-go for the rest of your life. I do my step 10-ish every day.
Exactly.
And step 11 every morning, I'm reading something and doing something. So, and we're connecting. So,
and we stress that and teach that too. So, like yesterday, we were talking to Peter, right, from Tucson, and he was just saying some people will fall and say, I need to do the steps again. I need to do the steps again. And well, if you do 10, 11, 12 every day and get better at that, then you don't.
And he was saying that.
Yeah. He said that. So
he said that's what he was telling them. Try 10, 11, and 12 for every day and see if you.
And it might seem boring. It might seem like it's not doing anything, but it is.
We do a follow-up meeting now. The British have a great tradition now because there's a Tuesday evening meeting that's a Zoom meeting in the UK that's at 8 o'clock, and it's positioned perfectly. So it's Tuesday. So after a retreat, it's 2 days later. So they invite everybody from the retreat to come to the Zoom as the follow-up, and they present 9 through 12 as just a refresher. They just go over it. And we have done that before. We do that after the virtual retreat. We were bringing people on, and it's a really good idea just for even our retreats, which we did after the California retreat. We invited everybody on to the meeting, and a bunch of people came, if you remember, to that meeting. And I remember asking them, because I just happened to be the secretary or the person running the meeting, because it was my week last week, how many people did their step 10? That came from the retreat. Only about half of them raised their hand. So then the conversation was, why didn't you do your step 10? And another reinforcing of how important it is. And we talked through maybe some of the objections to it and why you didn't do it and why that habit hasn't started with you. And then the importance of, if you don't do it, we can't promise you anything. Not that we promise anything, but
but they have to do the work. They're not done.
Right.
We're not ever done.
Because that's not what we did. So we can say that. If we do our 10th step, this is what has helped our life, 10, 11, and 12 every day anyway. Don't know why that's on me so strongly today, but I guess it's because we should be reinforcing it all the time. What we teach is totally legitimate and totally valid and totally usable. If you use these tools, it'll help anybody at some level. And yes, there might be other tools that you need, but this helps you access the other tools. Go wherever you do whatever you got to do to use these tools to build something. But today, our subject today, and we're going to have two guests, but they're not really guests. They're
the managers of the show. They're the
to come on and talk to us about this, because we had lots of background conversations about this, and so and there's a little.
We all come from very different lives, and they're normies, and we're not, and so it'll be good to like kind of get all those opinions out.
Right, and everybody with different circumstances in their life and different circumstances and situations and all, and desires and needs and health concerns and all that all go into the decisions around physical health and mental health. Let's stay with physical health, but we know that some of that helps. If you're physically healthy, a lot of things mentally are also healthy. You know, it does help certain things. So we're going to do, this is all under the subject kind of, guys, of 10, 11, and 12. It's living in the go. It's what do we do now after we are freed from whatever it is that has us broken, or whatever we've decided we want to make a change in our life. We can go there with it. And we want to be the best us we can be. And one of the things we do is our steps 10 every day. But another thing we can do is address our physical health in a circumferential way. Is that a word? Lisa's shaking her head. No, a circumferential way.
I like
it. all the way around. Anyway, so without further ado, we'll get into the. I'll have one. We'll have a big overriding question, but we'll bring the our guests on. So Cass and Lisa, come on and join us.
Hello.
You don't think circumferential is a word, Lisa?
I like it.
Encompassing? I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that that's a word. I don't know. It feels wrong. It feels wrong.
Oh, we like it.
Yeah, use it.
Circumferential. I'm going to have to look it up because I may use it again with someone else I know who loves words. So let's talk about this a little bit. We're going to talk about physical health today. We're going to talk about things that we do or don't do and what can affect our health and what can't be. So let's start with a big picture question. Why do so many people neglect their physical health?
Oh, that's a big one.
Obesity rates in America are way higher.
I feel like some, it might be neglect, but many, it's circumstances.
Yeah.
And I pulled some numbers because I know Alicia likes them. It was like the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and like a few other, but this is from 2022. But it's 43% of people and this is global, in the world could not afford healthy diets, and that's meaning more of like a whole foods diet. And they also focused on like fruits, vegetables, obviously like meats. And then this one's from 2017 from Our World in Data, and it said in 2017, 381 million people could not afford like the basic energy sufficient diet, which is, you know, your like kind of looking at like macros. And I would say that is probably close to the same number worldwide. And I think that since COVID, the poverty line has probably increased in America, it's safe to say. So I think that sometimes we forget that because we're viewing it from our own perspective of some people who can afford all like the best and some of us in the middle and whatnot. And so we think of it that way. Well, like, oh, I do this and like, it's okay. But like when you're looking at someone who maybe has 2 to 3 kids, they're below the poverty line. I mean, I can get 5-course meal from Wendy's for $4. And they probably realize like, I wish I could give better, but this is what I can afford because this is what I have in my pocket. And so that makes it.
Isn't that sad though, Cass? Like, think about that. Like, our society has basically allowed affordable food to be junk food, right? Like, so if I'm out on the go and I need something quick and easy, my options are fast food and unhealthy things. And like you said, a family, 4, 5, 6 people, yeah, you can feed a whole family dinner from McDonald's or Wendy's for $20-$30. But if you wanted to go to the store and buy organic chicken breast, organic, greens and salads and blah, 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 I mean, it'd be $50-$60 just for the meal. So it's interesting how our society has incentivized junk.
Yeah. But I feel like that's also like a cultural thing. Like when I see my cousins come from Denmark,
it is.
And even when I was abroad, like I felt way better and then when I came here, even if I have always tried to eat as healthy as possible, but I still felt not as great as what I was eating there. But that's because I think this is a whole even bigger. It's a societal, like US cultural thing. Like
it's a capitalism
culture,
thing. They add a bunch of preservatives and a bunch of fillers to get the most
bang for your buck, and
right,
that's
so that they can make the most money.
So I'm going to say part of it has to do with what we're obviously there is some personal accountability in certain situations, but I think a big piece of it is what the hell are we working with? Like what am I going? What's in the store? And yeah, my grocery store has an organic aisle this big, right? And it's like $30 for maybe this 2-ounce whatever of ground beef. I'm sorry, but I can't spend that. I can't spend $30 on ground beef just for myself. That's gonna last. I could eat that whole thing in one sitting. First of all, I'm hungry. It's not. I can't do it, and I wish I could. But so I think that's also like to take into account. Like it's on a big scale before we like hone in on that personal level. Like what are the day-to-day things that you might can make changes, can't, whatever.
So much in there.
I know.
I was like, I need some numbers.
So let's start. Start with the ability to afford the food. And you're right. The food capitalism, Lisa, you hit. I'm reading a book called The Myth of Normal, and it talks about capitalism being the enemy of
health,
society, and health, on a lot of categories, not just food, but that the idea of making a lot of money. They do whatever they can in the media and the marketing. We're told what we're supposed to eat. We're programmed that when you're hungry, you go to Wendy's. We're told that it's good. Not only we're told that we're good, we're told that we need it. Oatmeal is the healthy thing, right? Oatmeal is the heart thing in many, and it's not in a lot of cases. But I don't know. Cass is right. When you don't have any money, unfortunately, the only options you have are what our food process has given you in many cases.
Fight you on that for just a little. Once they kind of learn, if they can learn, like homeless is a little different than lower poverty people, because a package of hot dogs and ham is not great, but it's way better than macaroni and cheese and bread and whatever. So you can make a choice that's better. But with the homeless people, for example, I helped with the homeless on Saturday, and I was horrified by what we were feeding them. But what are we supposed to do? We gave them pasta, which is ultra processed, cans of garbage sauce, like 3 meatballs. That was the only thing in there. It was probably full of fillers anyways. Salad with sugar and soybean oil in the dressing. And then cookies and ice cream. And on the bread was freaking not even butter. It was oil. And I just what do we do with that?
But it's cheap, like a box of pasta, which can feed 6 people, is 79 cents.
Right. And we know it when if we look deeper into that, they're probably depressed and anxious and addicted and blah, blah, blah. And this food is making it worse.
Yeah.
But what do we do if we don't have the money or we don't?
Well, no, we're not putting the money toward it. There's the money.
the government, right? Or they, it's just so complex. It's hard to find a solution. And then, yeah.
But see, that feeds the thing like Cass was saying. Number one, there's no money. They have no money. And number two, what are their options? They don't have options.
Right.
They need to eat.
Right.
So they're talking about eating or not eating. The homeless bank or the people feeding them have the choice, if they have the choice of what they feed them. And the homeless would eat whatever it is, pretty much, that you fed them. So if you had scrambled eggs and bacon and something like that, they'd eat it.
Yeah.
Right. I think
that's the one of the problems of places. And then even when people like Jesse has said this before, and even helping individuals like that you might pass by in the street and whatnot, is that a lot of people hold the mentality, well, at least I'm feeding you something. You're getting food. Grateful. Like, what the heck is that? Like, that's horrible. And she says, if you want to, like, you see someone talking to them, they're hungry and you want to feed them, she's like, don't do it unless you're asking them, what do they like? And do they have any allergies? And what do you need? If you're not asking those questions, then don't just wave, say hello, keep on walking, because you're not helping. Like, a lot of people, and I've definitely held this mentality until she said that, and I was like, oh my God, that's horrible, you're right. But like, people just think, oh, well, you're getting food, be grateful, get over it. Like, which so many people could be allergic. You could have a gluten allergy, and then you're going in here, like Alicea said, and Tom said, you're going to eat it because you're starving. You need it. It's a basic need that needs to be met. But now you're going around feeling horrible for the rest of the day,
Right.
and bloated and sick because, well, people's mentality is, well, they got food, they should be happy. So it's like bigger.
Remember, Lisa, we were talking about, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about phthalates that's in everything.
Yeah.
Remember?
Don't get me started. Yeah. Okay.
But this speaks to things that are in our food that we don't even know about.
Right.
That are absolutely.
And it's not even intentionally in our food. It's in the packaging of our food and our water. So it's leached into our food. So we think we're buying organic turkey or we're buying organic, beef, but the packaging has phthalates in it, which are then leaching into the food. So like, even when we're trying to be healthy, we can't be healthy because the industry makes it. Sorry. Yes. So this is why, like, I think people get overwhelmed. And like me, I take in all this information. I'm a podcast junkie. I listen to, like, I don't know, too many podcasts on hormones and health and blah, 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 blah. And it becomes so overwhelming that I'm like, well, what's the point? Like, no matter what I do, it's not enough unless I completely go on my own, off the grid, have my chickens, grow my garden, have my cattle, but it's not realistic. And I know that that's the worst thing to do, Alicea. Like, I know, like, but it's so easy to kind of succumb to that and just be like, I can't.
Right. I think that's the mindset stuff that we have to look at, because so many people are just like you. I listen to the same podcast probably and way too much.
Yeah.
And they're like, just forget it. Well, that's part of the problem. No. Right. So you're just going to eat cookies and pizza because that's not okay. Right. We all know, basically don't eat processed food and ultra processed food as much as you can. Let's start there. Right. Don't worry about non-organic. I don't eat organic. No. And start where you are. Right. And then go. But yeah, we wouldn't go outside. I wouldn't even be in the
literally your phone, your laptop,
all of that. Candle, it might kill me.
Oh yeah, no, there's phthalates in that too, Alicea. Don't
I'm going to die because I smelled it.
But don't you? I wish that was like a man, like nutrition should be like, we have gym class and whatever, you don't really do, but like nutrition instead of, that should have been, I feel like, a part of it, because like besides my parents have always like paid attention to what they're eating, what we're eating. But besides that, like, because the only reason that I have always paid attention to what I'm eating, I feel like you're more conscious of it in high school. Like when you're younger, you're just like, is because I played sports, and my teacher, my coach made us read a whole thing that was like, if it doesn't have a mom or come from the ground, don't eat it. And like, it was a whole thing we had to go through, and we would read, and like, she'd be watching us in the lunchroom and be like, what are we eating? We got a game today. What are you doing there? And like, that's why I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. It doesn't have a mom. It doesn't come from the ground. Something's probably up with it. Like, but like most people, we're not educated on it besides what we're seeing. Like,
Plus, what they
we're
serve
seeing
you in school is junk.
Right.
Oh, it's just,
And in hospitals,
it might crawl off the plate.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Right.
just gross.
So it's kind of, Tom, I haven't read the book you were talking about, but that like normalized, say it again? What is it?
The myth of normal.
Yeah. So like they see this junk food as normal, like, but it's not.
It's not even food.
It's
right?
not
It's
even
not
food, but it's the capitalistic nature of everything that the society has become. That's what they think is normal. Like my kid won't eat a chicken breast that I make, but they'll eat a chicken breast from the school because it's not really chicken breast. It's like mashed up chicken part.
Yeah.
You know, 100 years ago, 80% of the stuff on our grocery stores didn't exist. That should scare us. It didn't even exist 100 years ago. 80% of what's on our grocery shelves didn't exist. When I was in high school and grade school, which was like the 70s, look at pictures of people in the 70s and before. I don't know how metabolically healthy we were, Alicia, but everybody was thin.
Yeah, I had one heavy kid in my 6th grade class.
Right.
One.
Now, what is that about? I mean, how did we eat back then? It was different, and the level of processed food was a fraction of what it is today. I mean, my mother didn't make anything processed when she made us dinner. Potatoes were peeled and put on the thing, meat, the vegetables. It was pretty straightforward, and we never had quantity issues, but we didn't have any junk food. There wasn't any junk food, or very little. There was candy.
We didn't snack either. Why snack?
Yeah, there was candy, but candy is what Lisa. When I was reading this, reading the book, it's funny that we're having this discussion because the chapter I'm on is this: how they call, psychopathy can go right up to the smartest people in control of everything in the world today. That there's a department in many food companies called neuromarketing. And they are actually designed to market materials to the brain's addictive tendency.
It's insane.
Right. So they formulate foods with sugar, fat, and salt content to maximize the dopamine rush that you get, the same as you get from cocaine or heroin, to make you addicted to this food. And it's cheap.
So
it's done on purpose.
Podcast I listen to is called the Resetter Podcast with Dr. Mindy Peltz, and she had on Dr. Reagan Chatterjee a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about weight loss, and it says insane benefits of lowering stress, sugar, alcohol, and coffee. And this was one of the topics that they were talking about, was the marketing of the food. He basically says it's not our fault that we're all fat. It's the fact that these marketing companies have deceived us over the years and literally put coatings on the potato chip so that we can't just have one. We can't just have one. So he's like, the whole industry is against us, and you have to fight against that norm to be able to do your own right path, and he says the same thing that you were saying, Alicia, like just start, like stop hearing it all, because you would just never eat or do anything, and just start making better choices, right?
Lisa, and you're right. I mean, this is not a myth or conspiracy theories or people thinking that their companies.
Right.
It's documented. They're doing this to us,
right?
And they're documenting that it's unhealthy. They're documenting what these guys are doing, and the book notes why something. Why hasn't society rebelled against it?
Right.
When a report comes out like this, because, in a free market economy like ours, it's all about supply and demand. If there's no demand, there'll be no supply, right? We can all drop gas prices in a week. If we all stayed home for a week, gas prices would drop because the supply would be too
gas prices during COVID.
Right? So why aren't we doing anything about it in a significant way?
They're addicted to carbs. They
I
love
mean, I
carbs
think
and
it's
sugar.
that. Yeah. And I also think I was watching something about like a US person moving to the UK and the differences. And basically he's like, I'm going to miss the convenience. And she's like, that's it. The US is a society of convenience. It's much harder for us to create a dinner from whole foods. So from a head of broccoli, a chicken breast, and eggs than it is to go to the frozen food section and pop it in the microwave, right? So I think as a society, we're too dependent and reliant on the convenience because of other things that we've talked about, because we're all spread too thin and because we're all stressed out. And it's you have to be everything at 110%. So what goes? Your food goes, because as a priority, yourself becomes less of a priority, and climbing the corporate ladder becomes the priority. Being like the stellar mom who's the class mom and everything and shows up with the perfect things and your kids are dressed perfectly. Like those all become the priority, the pretty house, the decorated house. So what gives? And often it's our own health. Because
and Lisa, we're set up for failure from children.
Yeah.
Because the whole society, the socioeconomic culture says you won't be successful if you don't go to college, if you don't even if you chose to, I'm out of this, I'm not going to buy in. You can't.
Right.
The entire culture depends upon, we have to have money, right, or else you can't buy anything. We can't grow our own food typically, right? Right. Dale Barker, the love of money is the root of all evil. I don't know. The love of money is the people, like Cass said, it's cheap to buy fast food. Some people save money by eating food cheap.
Right.
Because they need their money. Everybody wants their money because money has become the thing that you got to have, I guess. But
and then the money of Coca-Cola and Kellogg's and Frito-Lay and Pepsi are totally funding these scientific people.
Oh, yeah.
Professors and giving them for studies that are fraudulent, and it's shown that they're fraudulent, but they still do it because they pay them. And then we think it's okay to go by that stupid pyramid thing, which has made our country obese and fat and sick.
Right.
And it just, people think it's conspiracy theory, and it's not.
The government of Denmark declared, or the Netherlands declared, sugar the most addictive substance on earth.
Oh yeah,
I believe it.
On earth,
because it's legal everywhere.
In other countries, it might be Japan, I don't remember, a couple countries, they're showing, I saw it on Instagram, certain cereals and processed food, they're illegal.
Yeah, no, I
know sell them.
It's literally illegal.
We have them in every household and giving it to our children.
I love looking at those because I'm like, do I have any of these? Do I need to? I know, but I'm like, do I need to throw out? But that's what's like in kind of what Lisa was saying as well. When I was abroad, like going to the grocery store, it was something that everyone did. Like you would go with your partner or whoever, and you'd go every night, right? Because you buy the ingredients you need to make dinner that night. And like at first, me and my roommate were like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to the grocery store every night. Like we're just gonna buy as much as we can so we don't have to go back. And we got so many weird looks because they're like, why do you need that much food? But like for them, it's kind of what Lisa's saying, like family time and being home and being present. Once you're home, you're done. Bye job. Don't text me, don't call me. Haha, you're gone. And that's time for your family. And they have that time and they get out on time and they have that time with family. So it's like, we're going to go walk to the grocery store and we're going to get it and we're going to sit and we're going to cook this meal, and all of what they have in the grocery store is not like what we have.
Right.
And, so just the ingredients themselves are better, but they have that time and it's like relaxing. Whereas like even what Lisa's saying, I'm like, oh my God, I have a meeting until this time. I don't have, by the time it's like 5 and then 5:30. So now I have to cook something, but like, now I don't want to cook. Ryan just got home. He's dead asleep somewhere resting. So it's like, I just want to throw something together. And sometimes I'm like, I'd rather just not eat. Like this morning, I was like, I have to
interesting too is like, so that podcast I mentioned, they were talking about like when you eat, the state you're in. So if you're in a relaxed state versus if you're in a stressed hyper kind of manic state, your food processes differently because you already have hormones that are surging through your body. So like if you're stressed or you have an increase of cortisol, the cortisol then increases, you know, belly fat and things like that. So it makes your food metabolize differently so that it goes in as stored fat as opposed to being processed for all the nutrients that it needs. So the state in which you're in affects how your food is metabolized. That's why people in Italy and France who sit back, take time to eat a meal, they still eat a ton of carbs, but their obesity rates are a lot less than ours.
And Italy has centennial zones where the whole area
their meals are intentional and
they're blue zones. Yeah, there's blue zones. So, Cass, it's interesting you saying with the Europe thing. So we have this joke, or I have this thing. Whenever I go away on a retreat or a weekend, I go somewhere and kind of go off my really pretty healthy diet, which is no sugar, no carbs, and just kind of eat normally, which is to say what I'm served, I eat at a retreat or something. If I eat at all those meals, not overeat, just eat what I am. I almost always gain 2 or 3 or 4 pounds, right? Almost always. Now, when I went to Europe, though, to the North Pennines retreat and ate everything that I was just served to eat, I gained no weight. The food was different. The way that they prepare it, the way they brought it, and what they served us was different. There was no ice cream. There was no heavy sugar things. It was, and so they're ahead of us over there in Europe.
So I know we totally kind of went into all the reasons why it's really hard, but like, you know, and I think it's important to kind of validate that there are real challenges, and sometimes like, you know, again, listening to this podcast, like some people do everything right and they still can't lose weight. And it's because of hormones, or it's because of sleep, or it's, you know, there's all these different reasons that sometimes you need a specialist to help you figure it out. But at the end of the day, if you're working towards that, and that's part of that step 10 and the self-evaluation and kind of looking at our choices and the thing, and is this an excuse or is this really an obstacle that like I can't overcome at this point? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's like, it's important to kind of keep all that in perspective and kind of narrow your sights and set small obtainable goals instead of trying to say, oh, I'm going to get all these chemicals out of my system today, because it's never going to happen and you're going to feel defeated and give up. You know, so I think, Alicea, that's, you know, kind of what you were pointing to is finding like just
start somewhere. Yeah, right. Start. And like, what is the obstacle? Is it a real obstacle? Or is it a mindset?
Right.
You know, I have a sponsee who totally fell off, and I knew that she did because she stopped calling me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, I better check on her, even though I fight that because I know that they're supposed to reach to us, but whatever. And sure enough, yep, she went right back to the sugar and had all these excuses. And like, well, now what? Now what? And then I think, and I do it too, like if you were doing 10 every day, you would have caught it at 2 pounds gained rather than 30 pounds gained.
Right.
So let's look at that again. Like you don't have to do the steps again. Let's do 10 every day.
Right.
All that, like we teach, let's do that.
And the idea that you don't have to be, it's like you're saying how you go through it and you look at it and you're just start somewhere. Like you don't have to be perfect, because I like, that's my like thing is that I'm like, if I can't do it how I want to do it and how I think it should be done, then sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to do it. And like, I'm mad about it. Like I have a herniated disc, so I can't lift heavy like I was. And that's when I feel best, is when I'm lifting heavy. And so like, I started getting to like a funk where I'm like, I do not want to go to the gym. I don't want to do anything because it's like, I can't even do what I want. And that's when I feel good. And now I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? And I obviously have to get over that. But because I have discipline at the least, I still drag my corpse to the gym. And I have to remember that like doing something's better than doing nothing. So I'm going there. And even though I'm not doing things because I can't as intense as I would like to, I'm doing something. I'm still like lifting light weights, going for a run, walking on the treadmill, whatever. And so I had to like switch my mind and be like, this is how it's going to be right now. Like, I'm not going to have huge gains or anything, but you know, I'm fine. I'm out here and like I can focus on, you know, something else a little like in the kitchen. Like I want to do more meal prepping just because it's easier just to grab out and then I know I'll make a little better decision. So, you know, I like cooked up a bunch of ground beef and I'm like, I love sauerkraut. That might be weird, but I just like mixed that together. And like, yeah, I just like make, so sometimes you just have to like switch your mindset, switch your focus a little. Like I can't focus on what I want to do in the gym. So I'm like, okay, let me pay attention to what's in my pantry. And I'm a sweets girl. I will never be like cut out sugar and be like, I'm done. One, because when I have tried that, I become neurotic and I become a calorie counter. And I really cross that line between I have a problem and I'm just trying to be healthier. And for me, it just does not work. It's just not something that works well for me.
Yeah.
So I know I like sweets, but I follow like some earthy crunchy mom and she'll post like these cookies from Costco, you know, they don't have any of the vegetable oils. They're made from natural ingredients. They're only 3 ingredients. This is a better swap. So I try to do things like that because, yeah, I'm not going to cut it out. It's just, for me, that's not, I try, you know, moderation. And when I want it, I eat it. Because if I want it and I'm like, you're going to be fat if you eat that, then I eat 20 other things. Right. And then it's like, I might as well have had the one cookie and then been on with my day. So for me, it's like, if I shame myself, that brings me down a lot worse than if I just have the ice cream, have the cookie and then move on. Like, then I'm just moving on because for me, I need like, I can access all foods. And although all foods they're equal as in food, but it's not equal in obviously nutrients and what you should and should not be eating. But so for me, like, that's just what works best because I go off the deep end and I
think that's a good point too, of like, you know what works for you, right? That would not work for me. I cannot have a cookie. I'm an addict. So for people to listen to you who are an addict and like, oh, she can have a cookie, so I can have a cookie. That might not be true. So we have to be honest with ourselves and like, can I really have a cookie? For me, the answer is hell no. But if you know yourself and you're still fit and you're still strong and healthy, then yeah. But for others like me, we would have 20 cookies and then 30 and 40 and gain 10 pounds. And then like, well, because Sarah can have a cookie.
But, you know, and it's, you know, we talk about it being weight gain, but it's much more than that. It's our metabolic health. It's just our health. It's our cancer risk. It's our disease risk. And it's all of that that's reduced when we eat a certain way because sugar is all about that.
Totally. You know? Inflammation is causing sugar and stress, and it leads to every disease.
Right. And you can eat cheap, good. Like if you eat, you know, I eat really boringly. So, because I'm not really a foodie, I don't really care. But I mean, the eggs are back down to $2.19 a dozen. I mean, you eat a couple dozen eggs a week for $4. It's like,
that's the healthiest.
And I buy the steak I buy, I literally can eat a whole week for like under $100. It can be done. It's not very fun or interesting.
But that's one person.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Now that's $400, $1,200 a month. That's a paycheck. Like,
this is not the kids. And kids will eat. Kids will be like, I won't like eat that week.
That's what's challenging. Like in all perspective, like $100 a week sounds fine, but that's one person. It's one person. And so like I have 4 mouths to feed. My budget's $200 a week for 4 of us. I got to throw some pasta in there because cheap. It fills them. Like
I'd probably eat for less if you take the energy drinks off. My bill. Take that off and just
about your diet. You're drinking all these energy
the steak, the broccoli, and the eggs probably is much less than that actually a week. It's probably more like $30, $35 or $40. But you're right, Lisa. It's times 4. It's not. But I mean, I could probably go to McDonald's every day and spend $25 a week and eat. Right. And but the comment I guess I wanted to make is how good I feel eating the way I eat without the sugar and the bread and grains, which I don't eat. I feel so, like just sitting here right now, I feel so good with eating this way. And it makes a difference for me. And like you're saying, Alicia and like Cass, what works for you? What works for me is more like what Alicia does, which is cleared of all that stuff. It works for me. I feel so much better. Now I'll have a cookie here and there, but somehow I'm able to manage it. Like once a week I do something, and it's okay for me. I can do that. Not everybody can do that, but
yeah, I'm learning I can't do that. I have two problems happening. I'm the perfectionist, which Cass mentioned, and then as Alicia was saying, I can't just have one cookie, like, because I'll just keep eating it. So I did Weight Watchers, and like when I was like getting my points and I was coming under, I was like, yeah, go me, go me. But then like as I got more comfortable, like I started going over my points. And when I started going over my points, I started getting discouraged. And then I was like, well, I can't do it clearly. And I just gave up. And then I started eating all of the cookies again and all of the ice cream, and I gained everything back. Right. So I got a lot of 10 stepping to do myself, and like figuring out like what I need to do and what I can do and what's excuses and what's real. Like I haven't done the reformer in probably a month. I could tell you it's time. I could tell you it's because my neck's been out. I could, but at the end of the day, I just haven't done it.
Well, there you go. And, we spent a lot today on nutrition and food and all this subject. That's huge, right? It's a huge subject. And we didn't get to exercise, which we wanted to try to touch too. And look, Lisa's got a reformer folded up in her.
It's not folded up. It's there. That's my jump board.
That's the But I think then activity, which Cass and Alicia and I do. Cass goes to the gym almost. You go almost every day, don't you?
Yeah.
Cass goes almost every day, and Alicia and I do too. And movement and doing something is a big part of the other side of being healthy. We know that abs are made in the kitchen, muscles are made in the gym. So while exercising does what?
So fat loss is food. It's not exercise.
Right.
Yeah. But exercise is good for you. It raises your metabolism. It makes you strong. It makes you, once you get that fat off, it's your best possible you that you can be. So we got to come back, Cass. We're going to have to schedule another one where we kind of don't start with food and we pick right up on physical activity and movement. And
I got podcasts for that too.
Yeah. So, Lisa,
podcast. We'll have to.
I know you got to bounce, Lisa. Thanks for coming on. And these are conversations Lisa and I have sometimes for an hour about all this stuff. So it matters to all of us, and we all are reading all this stuff. So hopefully you got something out of this whole conversation today. Anybody listening, Dale Barker especially. And we're going to be working on a methods of posting some of the pieces out of these recovery lives all over the internet in different ways, right, Lisa? Figuring out how to
stress level up, cortisol level up right now, right?
No.
Right.
Remember, that's for the marketing people. That's not for us. that was what was decided.
We went and talked about how to get somebody to do it, because of this great conversation that we're having is one that everybody should hear. And we can get into, and people, let's get the movement together to say, stop big food. I mean, how many billions do they need? Right.
Well,
if they're profiting 30 billion, and if they only profited 10, but could produce hugely more healthy food, they're still profiting $10 billion. So, I don't understand where the social responsibility is.
Right.
But I'm one of those, if you want to change something, you better do it. You better do it. Right. We have that power here in America anyway. Really, the world has it. So maybe we'll make some changes. What's next week on Recovery Live, Cass? Next week is book review?
Yeah. I don't know what book we're doing though.
So we're going to do a book next week. If you read The Myth of Health, A Myth of Normal, we could be doing that, Alicia. But I think we're going to do, we'll post you which book we're going to do next week. But it's 1:51 or 9:51 or 6:51 if you're in England. And I want to thank everybody for coming on Recovery Live today, Cass and Lisa and Alicia as well. And hope everybody has a great rest of their week. I'm going to go to Raleigh, North Carolina this week, and then I'm heading down. Cass and I will be down in Leesburg. We'll probably do a live feed from Leesburg. What do you think, Cass? We'll do something one of the days. We'll do a little live something. She's smiling because she's like, I didn't hear about that.
Negative.
Or I'll be doing the live feed.
Yeah.
Dale and I'll do it. He's big
Yeah.
ham. He likes
Sounds
to be
good.
the center of attention from down in Leesburg. And once again, if you want any information, come join it. Look us up, Came to Believe Recovery Live, and look up one of our events. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, we'll see you next week at 10 o'clock California time, 1 o'clock East Coast, and 6 o'clock if you're in Europe, in the UK. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.